Howdy. Welcome back to the top 10 albums of 1995. We continue the list with number 7, Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette, released on June 13th. Your top tracks are going to be All I Really Want, Hand in My Pocket, and Forgiven. Canadian artist Alanis Morissette took the world by storm with this album. An album and a person that Americans severely misunderstood at the time. This record, that was seen as hateful, have songs that have a lot more to do with release rather than revenge. Fire and Fury sure have their place on here, but there is so much more substance to this album. So let's go ahead and discuss that today. My name is TJ Stevens, and this is Jagged Little Pill. Kicking things off with our opener, All I Really Want. You know, my knowledge on this album was very limited, so you can imagine my surprise when one of the first instruments I heard on this album was the frickin' harmonica. Regardless, this track is the perfect way to kick things off. This is the type of song you listen to at like 9:24 a.m. on a beautiful Saturday morning. The wind is breezy, but a little humid. You can hear Alanis hold back a little bit on this track while she still maintains her powerful presence. In any case, I can't think of a better way to start off an album. But speaking of presence, next we have You Oughta Know. This song was introduced to me in Rock Band 2, but introduced to the world as this album's leading single. This one song is where a lot of misconceptions of Alanis start to take place. This song is talking about a nasty breakup, so obviously there is gonna be some venom present. But people were calling her a man-hater and promiscuous for even talking about going down on someone at a movie theater. If only they heard about what glam metal was talking about 8 years prior, but I digress. This track has never been a favorite of mine, but I have to discuss it, just from the sheer legacy alone. It's a great song, don't get me wrong, but I get a lot more out of other tracks, but who knows? Maybe these are the right words you need to hear right now to get over some hard feelings. Whatever the case may be, You Oughta Know is gonna go down in music history as one of the most popular songs to ever be released. Moving on to Hand in My Pocket. This tune has the most relatable lyrics as Alanis talks about the many paradoxes of her life. She literally starts the song off by saying, "I'm broke, but I'm happy." Same. Like, that's some real human shit right there, and it's the main theme of the song. Just trying to find some good in the darkest of times. The band gives the song a very Midwestern feel, and to me, that always sounds pure. It's tough to explain, but so is life, right? It all makes sense in the brain, but when words hit the paper, it's like they were never there to begin with. But don't worry about that because everything is going to be fine, fine, fine. Fun fact, this album spawned about, 6 singles, so obviously this project is stacked. Just want to mention some songs I couldn't get into in depth. Songs like Right Through You and You Learn are great for wanting to speak your mind. Other songs like You Learn and Head Over Feet are great numbers to remind you of the many nuances of life. And finally, we have Ironic. It's pretty ironic that this song isn't really about true irony. Let me explain. Michael Stevens from Vsauce did a whole section on one of his videos about this song and explaining the difference in the common situational irony versus the dramatic irony that appears in this song. A traffic jam when you're already late isn't ironic, it's just a bummer. Just kind of sucks, really. What would truly be ironic is being stuck in a traffic jam when you're already late to receive an award from the Municipal Planning Committee for reducing the city's automobile congestion by 80%. Sorry, I just have to mention that because I literally think about that video every time I hear this song. So just wanted to share that little tidbit with y'all. Alrighty, Roo, let's yap about some Forgiven. This right here is my favorite song off the album, no questions about it. This track has to do with Alanis fighting against organized religion being forced into her life. The raw energy that you get from her during the choruses is the main reason I always come back to this song. I love that melody, and I love the message of this song. Currently, I'm agnostic, but my parents made me go to church and say grace the whole 9 yards when I was a kid. Once I started to think for myself, however, it was never forced, but offered, and I always appreciated that from my parents. When I hear songs that have to deal with this subject matter, it always makes me want to pray for them, funny enough, or at least put some good energy out towards the world, because no one deserves to be forced into a life that isn't for them. I implore you to listen to this song above all else because it teaches a beautiful lesson. But even if you take a listen and you end up hating this song, that's okay. You will be forgiven. Okay, now this album gets a little tricky when talking about the closer. Wake Up is what listeners probably heard last, at least for the album's vinyl release, and that's kind of what I see as the closer, but it gets interesting. First, you got Spotify's version of the closer. It's a remix of You Oughta Know, which is fucking gross. I detest when albums feel the need to remix a song that was already prevalent earlier in the album and they just stick it as a closer. Like, don't fucking do that. Say that for the B-sides or something, but whatever. Things are different this time around because if you wait about 5 minutes after the album is quote-unquote finished, you get a hidden 100% a cappella song named Your House. I found this completely by accident because I was not looking at the track length whenever I was first hearing this album. I just knew that the album ended on a remix. So once that song was done, I just let the silence rule for a bit before I listened to something else. Probably was working, just had my mind on something else, so I wasn't too quick to just switch to a different album. Well, after a while, I start hearing Alanis singing again, and that's when the hidden track found me. There was originally music backing the vocals, but they left it out for some reason, and for good reason. The absence of additional instruments adds so much weight to each word that Alanis is singing. It makes the song quite the pretty treat to find unknowingly. So, hidden tracks, they don't really count as closers, but Your House is so beautiful that I can't help but think of it as such. Either way, you're still gonna have a solid ending to this album so long as it isn't the remix to You Oughta Know. It doesn't even feel like a remix, honestly. It just feels like a new bass track has been added. I have no idea why the fuck people feel the need to add so much extra shit to their shit when, hey, don't fucking take it all so seriously. Just don't fucking take it how this is like, why do the fuck you do this? Like, that was Jagged Little Pill, coming in at 57 minutes, 23 seconds. This album has withstood the test of time. The setlist on here is perfect for any young adults trying to figure out their way in life. I really wish I had listened to this record about a decade ago, but alas. The compilation of emotions are what highlights this album for me. You have songs made for when you're angry, when you're happy, sad, unsure, and everything in between. There is not much that you can't get off of this album, but I hope that you'll get all that you need from it. And when you do, You keep me posted on where Jagged Little Pill would land on your list. Would you place it higher, lower, or take it off entirely? As always, y'all let me know down below, and stay tuned.